You know what? Are you tired? Are you tired as I was tired? When I say tired, do you find that you are tired of being everything to everybody except yourself? Putting yourself behind, last, for everybody else. Showing up for your partner, your significant other, showing up for your children, showing up for your family, your in-laws, co-workers, and you're left behind. Do you feel tired? Well, this is what I'm going to tell you. What I'm going to tell you is embracing selfishness is your key to radical self-care. Now, I hear sometimes people will say, what? Selfishness? No, I want no part of that. But let me tell you this, by redefining selfishness and the term itself, what you do is you claim the word and you go from just typical self-care to radical self-care. You're going to take back your health, take back who you are, and make sure that you are empowered. So what do I mean by this? So if we talk about typical self-care, now we're not saying one is bad or the other, but what I wanted to let you know is that with typical self-care, we talk about the actions such as manicures, pedicures, massage. Now they all feel good. Please, show of hands. Manicures, pedicures, right, exactly. They feel good. But a lot of times they are temporary. The feel-good is temporary. And a lot of times we do them with a sense of guilt because we're leaving our partners. We're leaving our children to get that half an hour, 1 hour of pampering. And then we go right back into the dragon's den, being everything to everybody else and leaving and neglecting ourselves. What I want to let you know is that radical self-care starts here. It starts in the mind. And where the mind goes, the actions will follow. So, those behaviors, when we do embrace them, manicures, pedicures, those types of things, we don't do them with a sense of guilt because we already know that we are worthy up here. So what does this mean? So when we look at the differences between typical self-care and radical self-care, the first thing we have to look at is that selfishness is not a bad word. We have been conditioned to believe that selfishness is a bad word. A lot of times when we think of things as a psychologist, what we really look at is how we have been conditioned through our childhood and our childhood experiences to learn certain things. So even when we look at the term the superwoman syndrome, the superwoman syndrome really is how do we put ourselves last because we put everybody in front of us. And as we put everyone else in front of us, it is to our detriment. And when we do all of these roles, the wife, the mother, the daughter, all of these things, what we also look at is how we have to do them perfectly. And if we don't do them perfectly, then what happens is we lose our own womanhood. Our womanhood is defined by this superwoman syndrome. So you're not woman enough if you can't balance all of these things and do all of them well. So, if we're going to look at redefining selfishness as radical self-care, what we're going to see is that if selfishness is not a bad word, selfishness means that we are going to put ourselves in the forefront. We're going to make sure that as we are in the forefront, what we're doing is as we're taking care of ourselves, we're not being selfish, we're being self-full. And that's from Iyanla Vanzant. Iyanla Vanzant says it is not selfish, it's self-full. That means you have to take care of yourself so you can be in the service of others. Whatever that looks like. And it's whom you choose to be in the service of, not who you believe that you have to be in the service of. So, Selfish, not selfish, but self-full. The car cannot run if you don't put gas in it, right? Now, I don't know, but sometimes if your car is, running on fumes, that's a wing and a prayer, okay? So let's not go there. That thing is, that's a lot of times how we run as women. We're running on fumes, running on gas, on lack of gas. So if we're now looking at selfishness as not a bad word, we have to make sure that we understand that we have to fill our cup first. We have to put ourselves ahead. But here's the thing. I can tell you this all day, but how do you actually believe this to be true? Because I can walk off here and just say, you know what, yeah, selfishness is not a bad word and that's it. But what I want to leave with you is that to embrace selfishness, what you need to do is to start with your mindset. We've heard this all the time. How do you shift your mindset? What do you do? What do you do? Now, show of hands. Do we have people here that do journaling, daily affirmations, those kinds of things? Yes, exactly. But here's the thing. Do you journal just once, close the journal, and then there comes the change? Or do you do an affirmation once? Do you say that one thing once, and then turn around, and then believe that that change is going to come? Just the way that you would shift your mindset, the way that you do it is the same way that you work out your body. You don't lift one weight and then think your muscles are good. You have to not only start the action, but maintain the action. And keep it as a habit so that you reap the benefits of it. So this is the same thing with shifting mindset. It is a process. It is something that takes time to do. And once you invest the time to do so, then you start to reap the results of it. So, take that journal and journal a couple days a week. If it's positive affirmations, something that's important to me is that I have my affirmations on my dressing table. So that every time I pass my dressing table, I can say those affirmations over and over again. It doesn't mean that my day is going to be good all the time, but what it does is it allows me to set the tone for my day. So what that does, the more that you practice it, the more that your mind will shift. It took several years for you being indoctrinated with all of the negativity and the bad experiences. It is going to take time for you to shift your mindset to understand that selfishness is not a bad word. So, we are going to make sure that selfishness is seen as not a bad word, but understanding that radical self-care is in the mind so that you can be the best version of yourself.